Now that we have the database up and running, let's learn the required configuration needed in order for us to connect to our database from within our Spring Boot application. So here's a quick diagram of what we're going to be doing. You saw that application.yaml or .properties is basically a configuration file that we can define a bunch of properties for our application. And one of the properties that we need is the data source. So within the data source, we can actually configure a bunch of things, including the password, the URL, the username. And in this, what we are actually doing is we are configuring the data source object. And this is just a factory for connecting to physical databases. So we have a Postgres database that we want to connect to. Then what we're going to do is we're going to use JPA, which stands for Jakarta Persistent API. And as you see here within Wikipedia, Jakarta Persistent API, formerly known as JPA for Java Persistence API. And it's a programming interface specification that describes the management of relational data in enterprise Java applications. So we've got a few things. So you've got the API itself, which before used to be under Java X Persistent package, but now it moved into Jakarta.persistence. We have the JPQL language, which is a language kind of SQL, but a little bit different. So basically it has a weird syntax at times. And then you have the object relational metadata. So basically in here, you'll see that this is an example of how you map your classes to tables. And it pretty much allows us to map our entities, our models, to relational database tables. So in this case, our class called customer will be mapped to our database as a table with the following columns: ID, name, email, and age, and their corresponding data type. Then what we'll need is an interface. So this will be our repository, and it's an interface that allows us to perform CRUD operations on our database without even having to write any SQL code.